Alrighty, so I got this thing apart. My bike was making some timing chain noise from what I suspected from the front, so I took the valve cover off and had some slack in the timing chain. It was so slack that I could actually lift it and kind of move one of the cams independent of the other. And the noise I think that we typically hear when they go out is the chain slapping against the bridge bracket that goes between the cam shafts. So I figured, okay, let's take it apart and diagnose it. I was expecting to find it broken, but it looks in perfectly good shape. So this I put in at 81,000 miles, and I currently have 92,000 miles on the bike. So it only lasted 10, 11,000 miles before it gave up. So before I took this one out, I took the two original ones from the bike that I had changed out at that time at 81,000 miles and took them apart and cleaned them. Figured out how to take them apart. There's a little snap ring that you take off. The assembly comes out. Took it apart, not too dirty, just a little oily inside. And then when it came for reassembly, I realized, oh, I don't know how much spring tension or preload to put on it. So I just kind of took a shot in the dark and figured out how to assemble it, and then assembled both in the same manner. And what I found when I finally took this one out was the preload with it at its maximum length. So here you can see these are pretty much at their maximum length. This is the one I just pulled out. The one that I took apart and reassembled, this has a lot more spring pressure. You can hear it snap there, just giving it a little turn. Compare that to the one I just pulled out, which is still a factory one that hasn't been taken apart. Way less. So when I took this one out of my bike, before I had cracked these nuts, I got one of these keys here to try and lock that screw from moving when I finally did break it free. Because I was curious what position this plunger's in when it's actually in the bike and pressing on that guide. And what I found is, I actually have a picture of it, but I can demonstrate it. It was about a quarter of an inch from its maximum extension. So, you know, about a quarter inch there. And you take this and lock it. Oops, didn't quite get it there. Let's see if I can lock it here. Not going to do it for me. Give me a second. There it is. So this is about the position it was in when I removed it from the bike and had it locked in place. I took this one, maximum extension, and then it was about a quarter of an inch gap. So what I'm thinking is the problem, or why these kind of fail, is two things. One, the spring, when it's closest to its maximum extension, is going to have the least amount of pressure to keep the screw assembly from backing off. So obviously if you were to take this, back it all the way back, it's going to have the most spring pressure trying to advance the plunger out. But if it's only back, say, a quarter inch from its maximum travel, then it's going to be significantly less spring pressure. All right, and another reason is this one, this new one that was in the package that I replaced in 2023, has probably been in that package for 20 years, maybe even 30 years, and it's been in this position, the maximum, possibly if I could do it, it's been stored in this position for anywhere from 20 years to 30 years even. So that's a lot. That's its maximum pressure on the spring for that amount of time. It kind of reminds me of the great debate between, do you store magazines loaded or do you store them unloaded long term? So that could explain why this original one that I have lasted 70,000, 80,000 miles, and this new one in the package that I put in failed within 10,000 miles, because this one had been stored in this position for much longer than this one was retracted a 1/4 inch in the bike. So I'm going to see if maybe I can take this apart, because this one has quite a bit of spring pressure compared to this one, which is the factory unopened one. That's pretty easy, not a lot of snap action. It would be nice if I could get the preload on the plunger somewhere between where the factory setting is and where this is. This is just the first time I've reassembled it. And the way you do that is when you reassemble it, you turn the spring half a turn, 1 full turn, and then you screw the plunger on it to lock it in place with these tabs, and then throw the snap ring on it so it won't come apart. So I think somewhere in between there we can find the right amount of spring pressure such that when the plunger's at its kind of operating length, it's got more spring pressure on it to keep the plunger, when it's kind of being acted on by the cam chain and the cam chain guide, from backing off slightly. So let me take it apart and let's take a look at the components inside. Oh, and another thing, sometimes people take these out and shake them to see if the spring's broken. One way you can tell is if you look in the channel here, you see the tang of one spring, and if you have a light and it's not too dirty, you can actually see the bent tang in the screwdriver slot in the bottom, and you can tell if the spring is broken in that manner without actually taking this apart. But this one has been ultrasonic cleaned and lightly oiled, so that sleeve that is in here, that's actually what's making the noise when you shake it. This one makes it, this one makes it, and this one, which has a little bit of oil stiction, if I shake it hard enough, you can hear it. So that is just this little sleeve in here that we'll see when we take it apart. And when that ring came off, this came forward, you actually heard the spring tension that we had preloaded release. So now this thing is loose, you can just pull it out. It only goes in one way, and this plate is captive, so don't worry about it falling out. So here we've got the components, got the body, got the snap ring, which we'll set to the side for now. You got your spring, you got a tang on the bottom. This goes into the screwdriver slot, and then you have this tang on the side, which goes into the slot in the body, and the spring goes in like this. Okay. And then here's the sleeve that unscrews, and you have a kind of a coarse screw and the plunger assembly. There's a little flange on it, so this plate won't come off, and it won't come off the front either. So you can only put this back together one way. On this screw, if you were to reassemble it, this tang would go in here in the screwdriver slot like that, and would essentially just drop the screw and the spring assembly back in there with the tang in the slot, kind of push it back there. Then you put the sleeve over it like that, you know, it'll just sit in there. For reassembly, what I did the first time, and I did it for both the original front and rear tensioners, in which I think had way too much tension, you just keep a little bit of pressure on the screw, keep it fully seated against the spring, and you just reach in here, turn it clockwise. When I originally put it together, I turned it 3 complete revolutions clockwise to preload it. And you can actually, if you pinch it, the screw assembly with your finger, you kind of pinch it to the side a little bit to cause it to bind. You can orient the slot and the screwdriver to one of these flats here, and you can actually insert the key, and it will hold the spring and this assembly captive as you fuss with the screw on the other side. So let me demonstrate that. I'm going to preload it 2 times, 2 revolutions, so let's see what that looks like. Make sure our spring tang is still in the slot there. So I'm going to find straight, some numbers. Okay, there we go. So 1, 2, I'm holding it with the screwdriver, and with my right index finger I'm kind of pinching it so it can't rotate. I'm going to look and try and align the flat with one of these flats and then drop in this little retainer key. Okay, that went in. So now I can let pressure off with my right index finger. Now the thing is in there captive. So cool. I just realized another thing. The screw, because it is such a coarse thread, I was curious if maybe where it goes on, I mean, it's a multi-start. There's 3 different starts on here. It actually has 3 starts. 1, 2, 3. So that will also influence our preload adjustment when we go to present the plunger to the end of the screw after preloading this a certain amount of times. Depending on where this starts, it might mean that just where the flat of this plate bottoms out in the bottom of the channel here, we might have to back it off 1 or 2 times such that when this plate does bottom out on the body, we don't have to thread it in a few turns to get that to align. So I could put this thing on there, spin it backwards. You can hear it kind of skipping across those starts. So let's find the wide spot in the body. Here is the wide spot for the tab. I'm just going to spin it backwards 1 click. And then, if we thread it into position, it's not far enough on the screw, this assembly, for this flat to fit into the body. So I'm going to, back it off 1 more time, such that each time we do that, where this plate is, the plunger is getting screwed a little bit more onto the screw. We want to do that until this plate just touches the bottom. So I'm going to back the plate off, skip it again, right there. So it's almost a complete turn. We put the plate down. So now it fits in there flat. So that's basically a full turn. Put this back on. Click. Okay. Alright, locks out. This is got some spring pressure on it. Let's see how it sounds. That feels good compared to this one. It's not a direct comparison because this one still has oil in it, straight from the engine. So this one's going to be just a little bit snappier than this one because this one still has some drag from it. Still feels less than this one. That one feels pretty good. I might be satisfied to try one preload back in the bike, see how that behaves. Kind of a pain because you have to pull the carb off to change it, but you know, finding that right preload is kind of save the little tang back here. Well, thanks for sticking around this far. I know it was kind of a long video and a dense subject, but there's not a lot of information or breakdown of those cam chain tensioners on YouTube, so I wanted to take the opportunity to elaborate and kind of deep dive on maybe figure out why they failed prematurely. I've got one turn of preload on that front cam chain tensioner and it's back in the bike. So you'll just have to stick around and see if it worked out. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.